feels so good to be back. This is the season finale of the Boss Moves Media Show. And has it not just been an amazing 6 weeks, right? We've brought you speakers that have empowered and inspired you, I hope, all the way from the USA, from Amazon, from WBLS, WLRB, Hot 97, the hottest radio stations in America, all the way to the Beyond Women who are doing incredible things. Your Dr. Maxine D. Wilsons, who have inspired us to really be values based in everything that we do. And today is no different. We come back home and we bring you an incredible woman who's continued to inspire me for years now. And she's dedicated her life to changing the lives of young people in South Africa, especially where skills development is concerned. She is incredible. I mean, she's done so much for her community and she continues to do so much for her community. She's the founder of an incredible organization that specializes in talent, finding talent, and retaining talent. Her name is Lulu Nongogo from Lulwazi. Woohoo! Yay! Hello, my favorite human being. How are you?
Oh, I'm good, thanks. I can't complain, my darling. And how are you? It's so
We
good to
are
be on your show live.
It feels great. It feels so awesome to be with you. Now, I always say I live my life vicariously through your life on social media because you're like the levels you are living on social media. We only look up to that kind of lifestyle. And I'm sure you've had to sacrifice so much to be where you are. Tell us a little bit about who Lulu Nongongo is.
Lulu Nongogo, oh, where do I start? Lulu Nongogo was born and bred in very dusty area of Guguletu, just opposite the KTC, but then it was not houses, it was the shacks.
Okay.
And born like with my mother and my father, and then from there I grew up, and then I went to study at UWC. I started at Forte, and then I was not studying for 2 years. My mother
Yeah.
was enough, she would kill me for this. And then I didn't make it through my degree, and then I went to UWC to study my B admin, and then I got the degree, and then I specialized in industrial psychology. And then I
Yes.
decided this is just not for me because I don't like politics, really. It's not to me. I just like to make a difference in people's life. Then I went to further my studies and did my HR diploma at Lulwazi College. And then I went to the bank and I thought, no, I don't want to be at the bank because we're just ripping the people off. I just want to add value to people. And then after that, I went to Kelly Recruitment Agency, and the rest was history to be where I am today.
Wow. And where you are today is at a place where you've dedicated your whole entire life to empowering other people. Tell us about Lulwazi, the talent management company, as well as the nonprofit organization.
All right. Lulu as a talent specialist, I started immediately when I left, when I was employed, and I decided that, you know what, I don't want to be called a recruitment agency because a recruitment agency does what the client wants. What I want growing up in the township in previously disadvantaged areas, I could see that there was a niche market and there was a need. There were so many graduates, unemployed youth, teenage pregnancies. Then I decided I want to go and tap in the interest and then make a difference to them because the clients would just come to us and give us a job spec and say, this is what I'm looking for. Hence, I didn't want to be called a recruitment agency. And then I decided, what am I going to come up with? And then I said, I want to be specializing in people's talents. When I sit down, I don't want you to see your CV. I want you to tell me what you're passionate about so that I can take your passion to another level. I can elevate it. Because if you come to me and say, I'm just looking for a job just because on the paper and you've got a degree, and it's not like, for example, I took it from my experience. I did business administration. If I was like the youth nowadays who have business, I wasn't going to take that route because it was a waste of time for me, And then I took it from there. And then as I went along, and then I did the recruitment, then I had some few clients in Cape Town, which I did very well because I managed to get off the graduates. And then I decided, you know what, this is just not enough for me because I'm just doing what the client wants. I want to go out there and give back to my communities and empower the youth that is not employed. And then I said, I thought, what am I going to do? And then I thought, you know what, I'll just open the youth development division, which is going to specialize only on the unemployed youth. And then I said, what am I going to do now? Where do I start?
Yeah.
And then I settled back to Cape Town. You're going to laugh at this. Right
Yeah.
when I was watching the Lulwazi way too, if you can see
Yeah.
the production.
What?
I'm
We are
like,
right there.
bless you. Yes, you were there on the first. I didn't even have a cent. I didn't even know where to start. And I said, "Dad, at this time,
Wow.
I want to empower my youth. I didn't have any funders, no government. And then I said, you know what? And then I started with if you remember, it was the graduate program for the unemployed grads. Wow, before I knew it, and then I got clients calling me, they're looking for graduates all over the country. And then I managed to get for one of the southern groups to employ the graduates which were not employed. Before I knew it, and then they said to me, they're looking for artisans. I'm like, what is artisans? But I mean, I never
Yeah.
seen anything. I just say, okay, let me take opportunities. And then I took youth that was drug and alcohol abusers from the township, Kylie, Chairman, and Bag, and all them. And then I trained them because those youth were actually very technical. They were not academic. And then I
Yes.
their skill to another level. I sourced funding from Netbank Foundation, which I took them to do a Red Seal certificate. Do you know there are trains in Botswana?
Uh-huh.
Who built those trains?
Yeah.
My wife.
Your recruits.
Yes.
Wow.
Those were the first and the last one this far.
That
And
is a
then
great story to tell.
after that, and then I was focusing, as you knew, remember I told you I was focused on graduates, and I thought, what about the matriculants? What about the ones that have dropped out from school? What about the teenage pregnancies? What about, and then it just,
Yes.
and then the passion just grew and grew as I went by, and saw that there were many youth that actually need my assistance and the program as well. Because
That's
when
amazing.
when you're unemployed, it
Big,
does affect you like psychologically as well.
of
Because we see so
course.
many people committing crime, taking drugs, teenage pregnancies, and people tend to focus on pointing fingers instead of assisting them. So I decided
Of course.
to help my babies.
No, man, we love that. We love that story that you tell about where you're from to where you are now because you're doing such incredible work. And when you talk about how you are from Ekasi, that is so important because when you look at the situation in Ekasi right now, especially in Cape Town, Lulu, Ekasi is
Yeah.
struggling so much. It's ridden with gangsters. I mean, the young people do not have a way out. They cannot see a way out of that lifestyle. And you're here the work that you do, what kind of challenges are you encountering as someone who's trying to uplift the youth, Sikas?
Sure, I can count until tomorrow, but at least I'm overcoming them because I don't focus mainly on the challenges. The challenges is only the funding. Secondly, the cooperation within the communities, because it's not just easy to go and just point, to say, and I'm going to take this and then neglect this. And my worry is that, like, for example, on my database, I would have about 200 youth that would be interested in the program, and I would only get funding for 50, and there's nothing that I can do. And it actually breaks my heart that I can't actually accommodate the whole 50. But then as the time goes by, we get more stakeholders on board, and also some of them, like, they used to come just because we're gonna get a stipend. But now we actually know the game and then now we actually know because now we have to do the whole interview processes. And remember, some of these youth, if you say them to them, like, let's say for example, there's Unala and Nongogo that are coming to register at Lulwazi, and then we decide to take Unala becomes successful. What about not all? Not all is going to go back there and do commit all the social ills, which we're trying to eliminate as much as we can. So that is the most challenge that we're actually facing right now. But
Yeah.
besides that, everything is smooth because we just focus on what we can do, and then what we can't do, then we give it in God's hands.
Yeah. So let's stay on recruitment, especially recruitment of young people who do not have access to resources. When you see the CVs that are created by young people, especially, and you see them trying to sell themselves to all of these companies, what are the things that make you cringe? What are we doing wrong? Because obviously there's something we're not doing right that's not getting us the jobs that we want after graduation or after matric.
Okay, I'm going to take you back to the launch. The main idea when I launched Lulwazi, which was actually, I like the question, because most of the youth is not employed, especially graduates, and I wanted to figure out why are they not employable, because this bit of a qualification. It's not just a qualification. That is why in Lulwazi, which I personally designed a module that is called corporate readiness, which is accredited. Corporate readiness covers all what you just asked now, we actually groom you on how to conduct yourself on the interview, all the interview questionnaires, the do's and don'ts, communication skills, how to draft your CV. Because you will be surprised that some of the graduates, they can't even draft CV. And I used to take it for granted, because then I would go back to my clients, because I like to do a research to understand why do we have so many youth that is unemployable. And you'll find out they're not good, like communication skills, and also the most important thing, the confidence. Because when they go to the interviews, remember, you're coming from a previously disadvantaged area.
Yeah.
You've never been exposed. It's the first time you go into the interview. And then we take you through the step on, we coach you. If you don't have facility to do your CV, we do your CV, we draft your CV free of charge for you at Lulwazi. If you are on our database. Next year, I'm actually planning to assist them also with the clothing for the interviews, because some of them, they can't go to the interviews because they don't even know what to wear. So I'm actually looking in that sector, that department right now, which is hoping by God's grace it will come to pass. And then also the most thing that we look at is the social media. Most of the youth, they don't know how to use social media. That's the first thing that we look at, because it actually plays a major role on your application as well. And then also, when you do a telephonic interview, like, we find that some of them can't communicate, because when they answer the phone as if like they're talking to the friend. So we take them through the stages, step by step, how to answer the phones, communication skills, how to dress on the interview, how to conduct yourself in public, and the do's and don'ts on the social media as well. And then when you're at the interview, how to follow up, how to write a letter, how to approach different clients, how to market yourself using the social media platform.
Wow, that is incredible. I'm listening to what you're saying about image and how it is important, the way that you present yourself. And you find that a lot of the times we present ourselves in one way on social media, but then we go to an interview and we're expecting them to know another side of us. How important is your social media and your profile and your
It
brand on social media?
it plays a major role, like I said, because most of the youth, because previously, like, remember, these kids are young, they're just coming straight from high school. And in Sky High School, the only thing they know is just the school, and that's it. And then when they post on social media, they post anything, like, for example, you post naked pictures, for example,
Yeah,
alcohol. That's the most thing. Like, it doesn't mean that you're actually mixing up the social and professional life, but it is like that. Like, whether
it is.
it is like that. So once we actually have that the view on the social media, and then we see that, like, you can already assess, you can, like, actually follow the trend of the candidate that you're interviewing. But how can I associate this one with the client or with my organization? Because that plays
Yes.
a major role. Or maybe sometimes some of them, I would always them, like, somebody that's always insulting people on social media, it already tells you more about the person, what kind of person that you're going to be.
Akaziphethanga kakuhle.
Yes, umntana nje ozohlupha, you understand? But we
Sure.
don't judge, because remember, some of these kids, they come, the background yabo is totally different. So we can't judge them on that. We try and take them under one roof. We actually mentor them. We take them through sessions, and we say, listen, because you'll be surprised, some of them, when they came under Lulwazi umbrella, you would not believe where, if you can see them right now, you would think
Yes.
it's even scared to sit with one of them in the interview room. You see the attitude, but because that's the most important thing. Because if you can see this one's got attitude, you think, oh my God, this is an interview room, don't you? But then you
Yeah.
get to understand him, now go deeper to understand the family background. What is it that's causing you, baby girl or baby boy, to behave like this? For example, we do school activations. And school activations, that's where we actually start to groom them before they go on tertiary. There were high schools in Guguletu Nyanga of gangsters, 5 boys that were actually literally shooting people at school, selling drugs at school. And I said to the teachers, you know what, you can't take these kids to sex. Let's find out what is causing them to do what they're doing. Let's understand the program, because I'm coming from a castle now. You know, and what is the cause? And then after that, those kids, I managed to talk to them. They stop. They are the ambassadors of Lulwazi. I'm talking to you. They are the ones that are going to tail of other gangsters within the communities.
Yeah, yeah. We're going to speak more on, the gangsterism because it's such an important topic, especially in the South African context where young people are involved and where, finding employment and getting out of that cycle of poverty and gangsterism is concerned. Well, we're going to try to get a better connection of you and see if we can connect better. We
Okay.
will be back after the break. This is the Boss Moves Media Show, season finale, episode 6. And we do have Lulu Nongogo of Lulwazi, talent specialist, on the line. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, we'll be talking about something that you have to hear about.
Thank you.
Empowered and inspired you, I hope, all the way from the USA, from Amazon, from WBLS, WLRB, Hotman.
Hi, sweetie. Nada? Hi, Nada. Can you hear me? Hi, Nala.
All right, so we're back again. This is the Boss Moves Media Show, and we have the incredible Lulu of Lulwazi, talent specialist. Today, we're talking about how you can take your career to the next level and think beyond what you're doing right now. We're in a world where things are just unpredictable. Hey, anything can happen to anyone. So, how do you develop your skills further and try and diversify? So, Lulu, you were busy telling us about what's happening right now in Cape Town, in particular, especially Ekasi in Cape Town. And for our international viewers, Ekasi, you'd probably say the ghetto in America. So right now, Ikasi La Sekapa is just gangster ridden. It is horrendous. Little girls and boys are finding themselves in really terrible situations. What can be done to mitigate the situation? It's very serious, and I don't think we're doing enough and saying enough about it.
Okay, Nala, that is actually our main focus at the moment. Because you will find out the kids, the main reason it actually boils back to poverty and unemployment. The main reason why
Yes.
the kids get bored and they become, because when we interview some of them, because those are, like, for example, the artisans that I was telling you about 50% of them were gangsters in Kailicha, and they were actually killing. Now, if you can see them, then because when you sit down and ask them, is that I would say an excuse is that they don't get employment, they are dropped out,
Mm,
their families actually previously they poor, and you find that some of them have been abused they're coming from very abused families, so they've given up hope. So they don't have somebody like Lulu that's going to come and give them hope. So what I then do, I actually identify those ones that are actually like targeted, the victims, like the one that are gender-based violence, the gangsterism, the unemployed. Those are the ones that I actually take on board as our volunteers. And then once we find resource funding, then we go there. For example, I don't focus only in Cape Town. For example, there's another in the rural areas where I was very surprised in Northwest. In Northwest, I was actually walking down, was actually going to Mahikeng. Then I met this boy. This boy is going to school, is walking barefoot. And remember, in those rural areas, we tend to neglect them, not knowing that they can be gangsters or drug addicts. Then I started.
So he's walking to school and he doesn't have shoes on.
Doesn't have shoes on at all. And I was like, it was my first time ever to see something like that.
Sure.
Then I asked him like where, and his books were in a plastic plastic bag, carrier bag. And then I asked him where he was going, because in Ekas, I would actually think this person is just disguising. Maybe he's probably going to rob somebody. And
Yes.
he said, no, I'm going to school. I'm like, which school? I made sure that I'm actually turning back, and I took him to school. We went to one of the schools in Bodide. When you go to the school, the only thing they know is that if you're not employed, they turn up to take drugs, they turn up to take ganja, because they don't know anything about crime. And then what I then did, and then I'm like, you know what? Then they said, no, some of us drop out of school because of these conditions. And then we turn up to go and want to hustle. By hustling, we go and actually, you know what you do. You go and rob people. Some of us, they go back, they go to the cities like Cape Town, Joburg. That's where they go and commit crime, then they come back. And then I thought, I can't let it go like this. And then I went to source for funding. I don't know whether you know AMSCO. Then I went to AMSCO because those schools are specializing in maths and science. They are awesome, they're good. When I took them, they were actually on 30%. As I'm talking to you right now, the past rate last year was 80%. Some of them, as I'm talking to you, they went back to school because of the program.
Wow.
They went back because of the program. And then I said I want more of them. Like in our townships, like some of the kids, like now during the pandemic, what's going to happen? They were like wondering what's going to happen, where to from here? Because some of them were working and now they're unemployed. The only thing that they can do is gangsterism. So we actually sit down and partner with other various institutions like the social development, and then we see what is it that we can do? Can we add value to these kids? Because gangsterism that won't just appear just like that. Like, for example, there's one kid that is called Glenn. I don't know if you can see him here. He was arrested when he was young. He committed crime. He was sentenced 10 years in prison. And then I thought, after that, he regretted of what he's done. And then I thought, what's the point of rehabilitating them if you're not going to actually give them opportunity? Because these kids, he regret what he's done. And then they said he's got a criminal record. And I said, in Lulwazi, we don't work like that. We're going to make sure that we get you something. As I'm talking to you right now, he's got his own studio. He was a sound engineer at Bush Radio, straight from prison. Whereas they said, no, we can't employ you because you got a criminal record. I'm like, this kid learned, he got his matric in prison. He got his diploma of engineering in how, like, if you give them where is he going to be employed? If you say you're rehabilitating them and then you still point fingers that you got a criminal record, it doesn't make sense.
So we've got questions that are coming in here on our chats. We are live on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter. We're live on YouTube. We're also live on bossmovesmedia.com. And this one in particular from Nelson Kubeka. Nelson wants to know, he says he's looking for a job but has no idea why he's being rejected. And he says he would like to contact you. We're going to talk about that. But I mean, talking about rejection, Lulu, this is something that's quite major for a lot of young people. You get rejected at one job, you get rejected at an audition, you don't get a gig that you want, and then you give up. What would you like to say to somebody who has that fear of rejection that's just, tearing them down and it's debilitating them?
Like I mentioned earlier on, Nana, those are the learners, those are the youth that we're actually focusing them, giving them hope. Hence, we actually like what they can do. We're actually very active on our social media pages for learning for youth like that. Then we can actually send us a message to say that you've been rejected. What is it that you want to do? Then the office, definitely there will be somebody that's focused. We've got different project managers that focus on different projects. And then our Facebook page is Lulwazi space Lwetu. Our YouTube is Lulwazi Lwetu. And then the other one for the recruitment is Lulwazi Talent Specialist. Then you've got all the queries. Then you can also call our office, or you can send an email to info@lulwazits.co.za. And then I'm going to give you all the context when we're done with the interview. Those are the problems that we're actually dealing with. Because remember, these are the kids that I was telling about, that once they get rejected, they lose hope. And we want to give hope to them and make a difference to them. Because once they do that, those are the ones that end up committing crime and going back to do what we're trying to eliminate within the previously disadvantaged communities.
Sure. Now, let's talk about the job market in general. So, right now, it's a buyer's market for employers, meaning employers have bigger options when it comes to talent. So, talent is no longer such a prized possession. You don't have so many options as someone who's got a job or is looking for a job. Previously, I mean, people were headhunted left, right, and center. Now, people are just taking what they can and what they have. What are employers looking for? What is the key things that we need to keep in mind when you're looking for just to expand and try something new even?
Number one, the best thing that actually makes people not to get employment opportunities is an attitude. Number two, your passion. You don't just take a job, because most of the, not even the youth, even the executive, you take a job because, for example, you get retrenched, then you want to go and take any job opportunity being employed, and you know that you're not good at what you're going to be doing. So the best thing that the employers look at is the attitude, is the attitude, how to market yourself, your passion, and what value can you add. And then also the experience then and the qualification is very important as well. Because from nowadays, as we know that there are so many, as we said, graduates that are not employed. So it's better if you skill yourself and equip yourself with education. Go around, volunteer wherever you can. If like you're not employed, don't look that I'm not going to be paid, so you're not going to be working. Go and volunteer, take chances, learn as much as you can, get a skill. You don't need a degree or honors to have a skill. Go
I
and
like that.
for example.
Speaking, yeah.
Yes, for example, I can give you examples like now at Lulwazi, we've got about more than 100 ambassadors that are volunteers. That will be the first take that we take on our next funding for business admin and artisans. Those learners learn from the other youth that actually they grew up. These learners can't actually be employed and unemployable. And I said, if you want to be on charge, we don't have funding, but we can only give you a certain site, and then we can assist you. For example, there's in Velcom next year, what we're going to be doing, there's going to be it's called child-headed households. These kids are very comfortable with receiving grants from the government. How can you be comfortable with getting 310
Yep.
fees? And how are you going to survive? You're going to end up committing crime anyway. So what we're going to be doing, I'm actually going to be first going with those head-headed households, those that are actually technical, and then we're actually going to train them on the technical skills, because they're going to be installing water geysers in Free State. And then once they do that, because I said I don't want them to just be trained on that, I want to teach them to form cooperatives. Once they form the
Yes.
cooperatives, then they can be able to sustain and maintain themselves, and also
Yes.
more job opportunities for the up and coming youth. Because if you're going to be trained and then you still want to be employed, and then what's the point? Because there are so many resources, even in the township, like our semi-skilled artisans. As I'm talking to you now, we train them to be painters, to be officers. What they do, I'm encouraging them that we assist them from scratch, how to build, how to start your business, where to get. Because remember, they don't know. That is why Lulwazi is there to assist them. It's like kind of an agent to create an awareness of the opportunities that they have, that is provided by the government. Government's got lots of money that is available for the youth, but they don't
But
know.
is it available though? I mean, you as a nonprofit organization, is it easy for you to source for this funding from the government? Because so many nonprofit organizations in South Africa die because they are not getting the funding, and the funding is going to a select few. Is it actually easy to get the funding for nonprofit organizations to do the work that the government is not doing on the ground?
To be honest with you, let me just tell you from my personal experience. As you were there, when I started Lulwazi, I didn't get any assistance from the government, because I would knock on the doors and they wouldn't know and their processes. But if I had known the processes earlier and prior, and them to be made available to me, maybe I was going to be able to assist. Like, for example, there's funding that is available, that but the youth, there's no awareness that is created for them to know that this is where you go to should you want the assistance on branding. Like, for example, there's so many companies that do branding and assisting. I mean, I had to start on my own. I had to learn the wrong in order for me to understand, okay, this is what you do. But then it doesn't mean that they should sit back and wait for the government to fund them. You start and then you say, this is what I've done. And then there's so many,
Yes.
this is what I've done. Look where I am. Then it's easy for them to find, because, like, personally for me, if you're coming to me with, there's so many people, if you're coming to me with an idea, I want to know, what is it that you've done with your idea? Where are you? Where can I ask? You can't tell me that I'm going to have to start you from scratch, because you have
Yep.
to start from somewhere. Then you say, this is what I've done. If you do that, then I can easily assist you and direct you to the relevant sources and government institutions that are there to assist, which is very difficult, though, I must say. But if they know that, and remember, you must play your part. You must do everything. You can't just say, but it's like saying, I'm looking for a job, but I'm sitting at home. I'm just going to go to
Yeah.
church and say, I receive, I'm going to get a job. It doesn't work like that. You're just going to have to go out there, prepare a proper CV, and go and knock on the doors, submit your CVs until you're successful. It's like when you say
Yeah.
you're looking for employment. When you're looking for employment, you can't say I'm looking for employment and it ends there. You go out there, you
Get
volunteer,
out there.
you assist where you can. And if you want to open your own business, you can come to Lula's, to shadow, and then you can see what is it, how do I go about doing this? How do not sit back? Our youth today just wants to be spoon fed. They want to do everything to be done. And when again, they're very fortunate that they've got Lulwazi that's actually giving everything with a platinum tray on them.
Yeah. So, I mean, I really like what you've just said there, and it's very important. You need to get out there, you need to get things done, and also start so that by the time you go sell your concept, you already started something, and then people can buy a train that is moving, right? That's on the track. So, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll be talking about the new world of work and potentially what the jobs of the future are. There are jobs right now that probably won't exist in the next few years or months, but there are jobs that don't exist that will come into play. So don't go anywhere. This is the Boss Moves Media Show. We're talking the next level you. Unpredictable, okay? Anything can happen to anyone. So how do you develop your skills further and try and diversify?
And then Amsco was mentioned, the Northwest.
All right, welcome back to it. This is the Boss Moves Media Show. This is the season finale, and we're wrapping up the year on a very high note, trying to make sure that you are well prepared for 2021. And I mean, you never know. Hey, so many people are getting retrenched all around us, and people are losing their line of work, their businesses. It's time for us to think out of the box. And we have Lulu Nongogo of Lulwazi specialists. Now, I was asking you earlier, about what you perceive to be the future of the world of work. There's a statistic that goes about 80% of the jobs that will exist in the next few years are actually not around right now. Have you, as a talent specialist, thought of these jobs and what they will be? And how do we prepare ourselves and our children, especially, for these kind of jobs that don't exist?
Oh, all right, Nala. Firstly, technology is actually taking over. And
Yes,
what about
without a doubt.
the direction that we're actually going to, Tina, as like that we took, as I mentioned to you, that we distributed the tablets and Northwest, because we actually encourage most of the people to go the visual way. Excuse me, because most of the people that are in recruitment, as I'm talking to you right now, they're actually preferring the virtual way, because virtual way is actually cost effective. Number one, you don't need
Mm.
space. People are working from home. Don't get stuck in traffic. For example, when this started, I took it for granted. Maybe about 2015, had one of my first London client, which was based in the UK. He actually had
Yeah.
visual PA. To me, it never made any sense that how can you hire somebody that's going to be working in South Africa. So when are you just giving me your money for free? You're just paying me.
Yeah.
And to look at it back, it actually worked one as there was no office space. She was actually working from home, sometimes using our offices at Lulwazi, and she was so productive. I remember her name is Ntletondo, and her boss was Craig Hutchinson. She was one of the first virtual international candidates that we placed, and it actually worked.
Wow.
And now most of the companies are preferring to go that way, even though it's very sad that people are going to be losing their jobs.
Yes.
But most of them, what we actually going to be doing next year, we're going to be partnering with AMSCO as well. We're trying to teach the youth to do coding. Coding actually teaches them the computer skills, it introduces them to the IT industry, because remember, they don't know anything. And remember, if you're working with somebody from 40 and above, they still want to work the old system, which which in the
Mm.
next 5 to 10 years, it's not going to be there. We're going to be working with robots. And
Yep.
whether we like it or not, people are going to be working from home, it saves us as organizations a lot of money. And if you look at it, because I remember the money that I was spending and wasting on the offices, and you look at it and like, oh my God, why didn't this COVID happen 10 years ago? So that I can be
Before I made these decisions.
and I travel a lot. When you travel, I like to travel a lot. And wherever I travel, I like to do the research on how they do their business. All the other countries
Mm.
are way in advance than us when it comes to technology. Like they use
Yeah.
technology, it's a tool. It's something that's actually there. So whether we like it or we don't, the jobs are going to be shredding, and we're going to go to the digital way. Like, for
Yeah.
example, now, imagine how much money I could have wasted to come and see you for the interview. You could have
Yes.
done team. And look, here we are, digital. And
Cape
it's not
Town and Johannesburg.
international, girl. Because everybody all over the world is watching us. And who's going
Yeah.
to, where we're going to have all those facilities to actually stream for people to be
Mm.
actually live.
Yeah. And you said something quite important there. You spoke about how you've been traveling the world and you've learned and seen how they do business. What are some of the trends that you've seen internationally on how business is being done and how organizations work?
Uh, I was still going to go back to the technology and the digital way. And the community and their infrastructure is way better than us, especially in the government institutions, because the government is totally different from ours and the way that they conduct business. Tina,
Yes.
I've never seen that. Like, for example, when I went to Gonzo, I went the way that they do business. There's like in our curriculum, we are at a very young age, which I think I would just scrap it. Sorry to anybody that's listening for the Department of Education.
Sorry, I am with you. I am with you there.
Sorry,
Let us scrap the curriculum and
I will
start
scrap it
afresh.
and start from scratch, because I don't
Thank you.
understand why would you teach a kid how to say da at school, and the school in China they teach them how to make the business school from the beginning. What are we gonna
Wow.
do with Jan van Riebeeck? Jan van Riebeeck was here in
Oh,
1652. It's not gonna add any value to our business, because like now it's a waste of time for me. So in all those areas, especially in Europe, they teach them how to conduct the business at a very young age, and their curriculum is it's related to what they're going to be doing in future. Because in future, it's not going to be running about how we cross the river with Jan van Riebeeck and how we got to the boat. It just
True
doesn't make
story.
sense. Yes, because if you
True
teach them at a
story.
very young age, you actually grooming them to be able to be in the future. That is why some people like say we see Chinese in our country. Why are we there? And we're complaining that those people grew up in businesses. They know the business ethics, which we don't know.
Yes.
Our mindset is actually to wake up. I must go to school and study geography and history and go to work. If I don't get work, then I must go and take ganja in the corners. So I think those should change, because in other countries it's totally different. And
Yeah.
the support system structure, our country, nah, it's so. How many of the Lulwazis out there that like Nonala, that would support each other? And because some of them, they don't have the support structure for each other, for entrepreneurs, and they don't know where to start when it's been supposed. Whereas in other countries, the government actually assists them on how to start their own business, and the corporate companies, they assist them as well.
Yes. I laugh, but it's actually not even funny. I think of the curriculum that we have set for our children in South Africa and how it does not assist them in taking over and even being competitive in the global village. That is a failure on our part, and it hurts me to think I will be taking my children through that system because it's really not doing anything. What is it that parents can do, Lulu, in their own households, in their environments, to create children that are more globally competitive?
That question is quite a difficult question, because we've got kind of like different kind of parenting, because some
Mm,
parents are medium parents, which they can afford for their school fees, and the
yes,
others, some of them, imagine somebody that stays in deep slot, that is not employed. How are you going to be able to groom your kid to be able to be like umntana ofunda sex? You understand? So
yes,
those are the things that we need. That's what I said. I started with the government, that the government needs to assist them as much as they can to see where they
mm,
can go to. And then, because most of them, the parents is not educated. How is the parent that is not educated going to assist the kid
sure.
how to
True
live the
story.
curriculum? Those that are very fortunate, okay, they can actually try to teach their kids the business skill. For example, there's a program that I was actually saying, like, why would you teach schools on how to play dolls on TV, instead of actually asking them, like, there's a puzzle that we actually like to do, I want to introduce, whereby you teach them at a very young age how to be independent and how to be entrepreneurs, how to
Mm,
be business people. Not that you grow up, you go to school, you want to be employable, you want to be employed. You
yes.
must have that mindset at an early age that I want to be an employer. Like, we never woke up and be the way you are, but we are very fortunate, and at least we're playing the role that we can in our communities.
Yeah, yeah. That is incredible. It is the Boss Moves Media Show. We do have the incredible Lulu Nongogo of Lulwazi, talent specialist. We've got the last 15 minutes of the show. We're going to wrap it up just by understanding how we can prepare ourselves for the year ahead. It is a new normal. It's a brand new world that we live in. So how can we move forward and be well prepared? Don't go anywhere. This is the Boss Moves Media Show.
We'll be back in 5 minutes. And remember, if you're working with somebody from 40 and above, they still want to work the old system, which is not, which in the next 5. We actually going to be partnering with AMSO as well. We're trying to teach the youth to do coding. Coding actually teaches them the computer skills, introduces them to the IT industry. Because remember, they don't know anything.
All right, so we're back again. This is the Boss Moves Media Show. We do have the season finale right now. This is it. And we're going to be back in 2021. But before we go, okay, let's wrap things up with Lulu of Lulwazi Talent Specialists. Now, Lulu, with the COVID-19 pandemic, a lot of organizations have taken away internship programs and mentorship programs, and understandably so. Most of the staff are working at home and from home anyway, and only the interns who have a little bit of technological agility have been able to make it in this job market. What's in it for them? What stands and lies in the future for these young people who need these internships so they can get some work experience?
What I can say now, like I mentioned, I'm just going to give you an example so that they can understand. For example, like I told you about Northwest, we're actually doing it physical. But then we decided that we're not going to go through that because the future is not going to be focusing on that because of the pandemic, because nobody wants to go physically and do all those things. So we have to adhere to the protocols. And then that's when I decided, you know what, let me go the visual learning route, which I actually partnered with AMSCO as well. And then I bought them tablets. And then we arranged that they will do the visual learning. As difficult as it is, I'll make sure that we're playing our major role as Lulwazi. As I told you that from next year, January, we're actually going to be teaching them some of the areas, but that's going to be mentioned on our social media page, on our website of where to go to for all this e-learning, because it's not easy as we think. Remember, South Africa's data is extremely expensive. So
Yeah.
imagine how are they going to, because firstly, before anything, even if you can have a gadget, how are you going to get the data? So we're trying to negotiate with some of the partners that would want to come on board, where we can know that we've got, like, say, hotspots where they can go for Wi-Fi. And remember, going on a place where there's Wi-Fi, there's still the pandemic. It's still high risk. So you have to be at home in order for you to be safe. So we actually, like, in the future is actually, as I said, going digital, but we're still trying, we're playing our major role as much as we can. Like I said, that in Northwest, we moved from going to do the physical classes for the maths and science. We actually I bought them tablets and the data, which actually made me so broke that I couldn't even do anything. But I couldn't just leave them out.
Yes.
And we
But
bought
but
them.
I mean, Lulu, with what you're saying, I mean, you have access and to only a select number of young people, like the ones you're doing work with right now in the Northwest, who have had the privilege of getting these tablets so that they can work. But what about the other kids in the other rural areas who not only don't have access to a Lulwazi talent specialist, but do not actually even know how to use technology? What lies ahead for them? Is there employment for post grads? Will there be a change? Like, are we going to see things look the same as they did before the pandemic? What are these changes and these challenges that they should expect to face?
What am I saying, Ala, is that number one, there's going to be quite a bit of a challenge, but like I said, it's up to them to take an initiative. I don't know how, but we're trying the
Yeah.
best, as I say, to play our role as much as we can. Because, like, for example, we're in the area in Northwest, there's no internet cafe. So how are we going to actually submit and go and go online?
Yes.
And how are we going to see the, like, for example, now we are live. Some of them don't even have access to data. How are you going to be able to, because you're missing out the opportunities? So we're trying by all means to see of how we can assist where we can. There is going to be quite of a challenge. If you couldn't even, if you remember, there's about 41% of unemployment rate in the country, according to the labor law department. And then if we could be struggling against,
Sure.
and most people are losing job as I'm talking to you right now, so how much more when like next year comes? So that's why we're actually trying. But if I can believe, if those that are opportune, they can actually go and start going to learn, like, marketing online, start, like, training themselves on, like, digital
Yes.
marketing or any digital platform, that would really assist them. Instead, because if they can go on Facebook and Instagram, they can actually teach. There's a lot of there are a lot of online
Yes.
courses go to. There are
Yes.
free charts that they can go to instead of wasting their time on Instagram and so on and Facebook. Those
So
courses,
true.
but it's just that you just go and Google, research the online courses, and then you go to the one. Let's say if you're doing HR, there are a lot of HR courses that you can do online. Then that's how you can actually empower and improve your skills, and that's what the
Mm.
companies are looking for. And for example, like interviews, because we stopped interviews long time ago to do physical interviews, especially for the
Yeah.
executives. So you can actually start applying, and then you can just submit your details, and then you say that this is the link where you can get me. Make sure that like you're proactive. You must be proactive. Show them that this is how they can get you. Because imagine you've got an interview in Joburg. The companies don't have time to be flying you up and down again. This is what it is, the trend that they actually followed.
I like that. I like that because you being very frank right now. You say if you have a data to go on Facebook and Instagram and watch this live, you have data to go and study a free online course. And that is so important in the skills development and making sure that you're ready for a brand new you and a world that is so unpredictable. Now, tell us a little bit about transitioning from one career to the other. What do you do? How do you go about? Because I just had a conversation with my makeup artist who's been doing makeup for us for the whole season one of the Boss Moves Media Show, and she took something like makeup, which is something she enjoyed doing, and she turned it into a business. How do we transition from one career to the next in a time such as this?
Okay. For example, now, let me just give you an example. I'm always going to refer to you about me. For example, now when the president announced that there's going to be lockdown in March,
Yes,
I decided, where am I going to focus and be stressing about the lockdown? Let me just do and see what I can create. And then I actually
I love
rented a
that.
factory. I went to a factory. Some of the people don't have opportunities, but I gave the opportunity to the ones that are underprivileged. Whereas I created more job opportunities where we manufacture fabric mask, the three-ply fabric mask. And then the opportunities were created.
Mm.
And then I told them that you can go and sell them to this. And some of the learners were on projects. And then the projects, like they closed down in hospitality and artisans. I said, no, you're not going to be sitting at home. You're going to go back and take drugs. Take an initiative. Let's go and see where we can assist the elders. Like there's so many people at Sasa where you can assist to with the food and the soup kitchens. And now, as I'm talking to you, most of them they actually go the passion that there's a
Yeah.
kitchen that they actually renting. They're renting a kitchen where they club together, which I'm actually assisting them to open a co-op. And now they have him, like you see, you could have been worried that don't focus on the negative issues. I understand that some people that are underprivileged. And don't focus on that. Otherwise, we're gonna end up saying, "Oh, I'm poor." It's your mindset and the attitude that actually makes it the life easy. Because, for example, with the life that you change, there are so many ones that are not employed, but now are employed. We actually gave them a skill, and some of them now, as I'm talking to you, they actually sewing those masks, and I'm like, you don't just do it for the sake of doing it for ends meet. Take it as a business, and there are so many young entrepreneurs in the township. Somebody just decides to wake up in the morning, go and do a salon. Like, take your salon as a business opportunity. Train more
Yes.
youth that is passionate about the beauty therapy. Don't just wake up and do it just that you can earn ends meet and go home and be able to buy your month. Just take it serious. Know that you must bank. Like do a research, learn, educate, equip yourself. That's why I
Yes.
normally conduct their workshops where I invite all the smokers. You want to mama nompendulo, we answer Makwenya somewhere. Mama nompendulo, it mustn't just sit there. Mama nompendulo, like maybe she's been doing this for years. Mama nompendulo, why don't you just open this and know that you're going to supply the schools with Amakwenya at a certain age? You take your money, take it to the bank. Make sure that you adhere, you comply with taxmen, you register your business. We can assist you with certain things because we won't be able to assist you if you actually operating. But I guess again, like I said, they don't know because they don't do the researches. So if
Wow, Lulu.
like the artisans, I say,
Yes.
don't take the paint and paint. Create. There are so many people out there. Let me help you
Create
create.
the paint. Create the paint.
Yes. Don't just take it as bad as Lulwazi, an accident. Be your own boss. Take your cousin, go and paint in so and so. And now they're so happy because they like them and making money. So that's how it should be. Don't just speak
Yo,
and relax, you know.
You are dropping serious bombs. You know, as Africans, for the longest time, we have been on the consumer end of everything. Like even with this vaccine, the vaccines that are coming now, we are yet again at the consumer end. I heard that the government is injecting some billions into a vaccine development. Coming after the all the other companies have released their vaccines already. You know what I mean? Still at the back end of everything, but now, you also said something very important about what you did when the president announced lockdown. So, because we are officially in the second wave of the COVID-19 pandemic here in South Africa, now the president is going to speak to us probably on Sunday. And if he announces another lockdown, what is your advice to a layman like me? Where do I start?
My advice, Nala, is just we must comply, and then also don't focus on what, like I said, don't focus on the negative side. What you need to do is to how can you add value to actually try to eliminate the COVID from spreading. That is trying to market, like let's say for example, there's the companies that they don't even know what to get the PPEs, how to get the sanitizer, where to get the mask. You understand what I mean? Then you can actually shift your focus and do that, and then try and market your business online as much as possible, because that's the only way. Because you're not going to be sitting at home, because you need to work, you need to put bread on the table. Don't have to go around like the way that you're connecting the interview right now. Try and get
Yeah.
more skill on and equipping your business. Where can you take your business online on the digital market on another level, instead of focusing and say, the president said you must sit at home. Just try and get more ideas online.
I like that. Here on Instagram, at Nonala Tose, we asked a question: are you ready for a new normal world of work? And Usinelizwi James Ngwandla says, no, I'm not ready. Actually, we are not ready in general. Any parting words on how we can prepare ourselves for this new world of work, which is definitely not anything we've ever experienced before?
Okay, what you can, the best advice that I'm going to still going to go back to use your phone and have effective as much as you can, and stop staying on the social media. That is not going to
Yeah.
help anything. Go and search like say for example, if you're passionate with catering, you go and search what are the courses of the free online courses for the catering. There are so many out there in different industries. And then once you've
Mm,
done that, and then you can apply online, see which opportunities are there in the hospitality industries that you can apply online. What is it? How can you help? And then see where can you actually try and make a difference. Like for example, Lulwazi, like now, if we're gonna go on a second one, we're gonna be looking for marketers for the PPEs. We're gonna be looking for
yeah.
people that are gonna be marketing on the line, and see, and the drivers. We're gonna be looking for more job. We're gonna create more job opportunities, instead of sitting at home and mourning that it's gonna be Christmas. We're not gonna have Christmas. And then
Yep.
also comply and not focus on the negative. That, and wherever you go, try and create an opportunity out of that space.
Wow. I mean, these are incredible, incredible words that you're sharing with us. It really has been such an absolute pleasure chatting to you, Lulu. You are an amazing woman. You continue to inspire us in so, so many ways. What are your plans for this festive season? I know you're probably staying home and staying safe. What will you be doing, and what can we look forward to with Lulwazi in 2021?
Oh, 2021. What as I'm talking to you, like when I'm done with you, I'm just gonna take a nap and go back to my laptop. And you know me, I'm a workaholic, and when I'm working,
Yes, you are.
what I can do, the best advice is I can tell guys, this thing is real. Everybody's affected by the pandemic. Try to be safe, sanitize, social distance. Do not go on social gathering. What we're planning for next year for us, we actually gonna be, I'm gonna be working more in the rural areas, studying in Valcom area, where I'm going to be working. I'm focusing more beginning of the year on the gender-based violence, which is a huge risk, the thing that's happening in our country. And we tend to focus more on the people that have actually abused, not on the victims. My focus wants to focus more on the victims, on how are they feeling, because nobody follows up on the victims. We only focus that Silo killed Lulu, and then Ululu is there, and then Silo is in prison. What about Ululu? What is Ululu doing? Where is Ululu? How can we help Ululu? So we're going to be doing the gender-based violence, and then this massive, that's going to be taking place underwater solar. I'm just so excited about for the solar
What's
killer
that?
system. The solar is a system that we're going to be installing in
Oh,
hospitals all over the country. So we're going to
nice.
be skilling more youth. My baby is going to be creating more job opportunities for the
Wow.
youth, and then that, and then school activations, and then also we're going to be focusing more on the artisans. And yeah, but on holidays, yeah, I'm just going to be sitting at home and bothering you where I can with the phone. So, because I know
Call
we are
me.
the same, because I know we are the same, we'll be working.
Call
But probably
me.
next week I'll take a break because I'm not going anywhere. I'm just going to be relaxed because I've had a very rough year. Because during the lockdown, I never locked down. I was working right through. So as I told you for the factory, so I'm just going to be relaxed, staying at home, social distancing from everybody and anything, just unwinding.
Well, we love that. Thank you so much. You are incredible. Our absolute favorite. Have yourself a Merry Christmas, a blessed and prosperous New Year. We cannot wait to see you do great things and continue to push the envelope. We love you, Lulu. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Love you tonight. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. I hope you've learned a lot and I hope you have been empowered and inspired by Ululu of Lulwazi Talent Specialist. You can find her all over social media, Lulwazi Talent Specialists, and they are there to help you. And if not you, I know you know a family member, your daughter, your son, your cousin, your brother, your siblings, somebody who needs that push and who needs to find a job right now. Okay, let us be the hands that help each other. It's that time in our lives where we really have to depend on each other and be a collective and increase our community, by adding value to each other. So this is it. This is the season finale. We will be back with you in 2021, God willing, and we're so grateful to have you on this show every single week, every Friday at 4 to 5 p.m. We will be back with you. This is it. Bye.